Hi, this is Monica Packer. This month on About Progress, I am bringing you a special series featuring select sessions from last year's More for Moms conference. Last year, I created this online gathering for mothers who know there's more available to them than simply surviving motherhood. More happiness, more fulfillment, more fun, more progress. This conference was born out of my own experience as a mom who loved her family deeply, but still found herself feeling depleted, at times resentful, and almost always disconnected from herself. I have learned that when moms have more in their lives, they have more to give, not because they're sacrificing less, but because they're finally including themselves on their own priority list. Right now, this month, I am neck deep in prepping for the second round of the More for Moms conference. So throughout July, I am sharing a small handful of some of my very favorite sessions from last year's conference right here on the About Progress feed. These conversations are practical and encouraging. They are deeply relevant for any mom who wants to feel more like herself again. If you love what you hear, good news. You can get instant access to all 25 conference sessions from 2025's conference with the Archive Pass. This includes lifetime access to all videos, transcripts, a private podcast feed, and speaker resources, all ad-free, which will be different than what you hear this month, as I have to put ads on any episode that airs on the About Progress feed. You can use the code LISTENER right now at checkout at aboutprogress.com/moreformoms to get an additional 50% off the Archive Pass, which has already been discounted, so it now amounts to 94 cents for each speaker session. The content for 2025's conference is set to officially archive this August, so I can make room for 2026 content. Use the code LISTENER at checkout at aboutprogress.com/moreformoms to get lifetime access to all of the soon-to-be archived content. I cannot wait for the new content coming your way, and also hope that you'll take advantage of this discount and get that Archive Pass. It's linked for you in the show notes. It's now time to share one of my favorite sessions from last year's content. That speaker session is coming up after a quick break for our sponsors. You are not bad at habits. You've just been using methods designed for men. My first book will be published this fall. It's called Sticky Habits, A Woman's Guide to Reclaim Happiness, Ditch Perfectionism, and Create Habits That Last. It's set to release September 8th, but you can pre-order the book right now for 3 special pre-order bonuses, from a listening companion guide that took me hours and hours to create, to a free pass to my online course, Finding Me, and our exclusive virtual launch party on September 8th with some special guests. This book is not about doing more. It's about building habits that survive real life, creating routines that flex instead of break, letting go of perfectionism that keeps you quitting, and learning how to keep promises to yourself. And that's even on the hard days. In a world of self-help that too easily ignores the invisible labor women carry, that changes everything, because women must do habits differently. Sticky Habits will teach you how. Please pre-order the book now and check out the special pre-order bonuses again by going to stickyhabitsbook.com. That's linked for you in the show notes. I am so thrilled for this book to be out in the world. It is several years in the making, and I know it will change so much for you. Again, go to stickyhabitsbook.com to pre-order the book now. Dr. Angela Holliday-Bell, a big welcome to the More for Moms conference.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
I know every mom who sees the title of the session is going to be like, click, 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 because it's almost like synonymous with motherhood is exhaustion, because we go through so much sleep-wise. And I know you are in the thick of it right now with a baby of your own, but you are also, this is your expertise. You're a medical doctor who helps people with their sleep. So you do this all the time. And it may be obvious, but I wanted to start with the obvious. Why is it that we as moms have this dramatic shift in our relationship with sleep as we become mothers and as we move through motherhood?
Oh, yeah, that's a very loaded question. And honestly, it starts from even prior to having the child, even with pregnancy. There's so much that shifts in the mom, down to the biology of it. There are hormonal shifts that significantly impact your ability to sleep. And I think in terms of how we navigate the world and society, there's so much pressure to be everything to everyone, particularly your child. There's a mental load that comes with it. There's a physical strain that comes with it. And for most mothers, you just accept this life of sleeplessness and this life of exhaustion because you feel like that's what comes with motherhood. And so, although, yes, there's a new baby who needs your attention all the time and they're waking up to feed and all those other things, separately from that, most moms just accept that their new reality is that they're not going to get sleep. So it becomes something that is on the bottom of the priority list because you feel like it's an
Hmm.
unachievable goal, in addition to all of the things physically, literally, emotionally, socially working against you in terms of getting your
So it seems like we're almost set up to fail, which can feel
unfortunately.
a little depressing, but also it's kind of helpful to know, oh, this isn't just a moral failing on my part. It is
Right.
biology, it is social expectations. I want to talk about a sleep relationship. I've heard you talk about that we have a relationship with sleep, and I never thought of it that way. And since that's the premise of our conversation, can you break that down a little bit? What does that even mean?
100%. So I always tell people one of the most important relationships you'll have in your life is the one between yourself and sleep or yourself and your bed, things surrounding your sleep. And you're building that relationship every single night, whether you realize it or not.
Hmm.
And the reason I say this is because your thoughts, your feelings, your interactions with your sleep impact how sleep goes for you. And so if you think of it like relationships you have with anyone else, your spouse, your friendship, you have to nurture that relationship, right? If it's
Okay.
a toxic relationship that brings about a lot of stress and anxiety, it becomes more and more broken and it's difficult to restore. If it's a healthy, loving relationship that makes you feel good and energized, then it's going to be better and healthier, right? So you have to think about all the things you're doing during the day and the night that's impacting the status of that relationship. Is it a toxic one? Is it this constant battle and
Okay.
struggle? Or it is something that's healthy and then becomes restorative?
Ooh, I love that way of looking at it because it helps me see it differently. And also
Yes.
in ways that help me understand why it is so complicated because relationships are so complicated, period.
A little complicated. Yes. And there are different seasons of relationships and stages of relationships, right? Some in one stage of life, the relationship might be great, and then something changes, and then it becomes a little more broken or distorted, and the same thing happens with your sleep.
Okay, so I'd love to hear you tie that back to moms in particular and how their relationships with sleep can become toxic, or if they were a Facebook status, maybe complicated. I haven't been on Facebook forever. Is that what it used to be? Like it's
But
complicated?
yeah, yes,
It's
yep.
the
That used to be. I
status.
forgot about that status. Oh
I
my
know, I
goodness.
did too. It just came to me.
But yes, it becomes complicated, and a lot of times it becomes strained.
Okay.
There's distance within that
Oh.
relationship, right? A lot of times, moms are not pouring into that relationship or prioritizing it because now there's this new relationship with your baby and a new dynamic at home with your spouse, and so that sleep relationship becomes more distant and set to the side, and you're not really fueling it the way that you need to or building it up. For a lot of moms, even if they're wanting more sleep, it can become a toxic relationship. And then now there's this anxiety and stress surrounding sleep.
Oh.
Now I'm not able to fall asleep. And even if I do, I know that it's going to be broken. So I'm more alert because I have to wake up in the middle of the night. And so now what used to be this beautiful, healthy, symbiotic relationship becomes strange because it's wrought with anxiety of what is the night going to bring? Well, how am
Mm-hmm.
I going to feel in the morning? So it's definitely a strained, complicated relationship, and you're so heavily involved in your child's relationship with sleep. So it's this very, very complicated mess of things. Um, and what is unfortunate is even after that initial strain is over from a baby waking up every 2 to 3 hours, unfortunately, the mom's relationship with sleep remains complicated
Mm-hmm.
and strained because she's never learned how to mend it and make it healthy.
Ooh, okay. I would like to talk about that more because I'm sure a lot of moms who are here are like, but I don't have a baby anymore. But my sleep is so bad, and my relationship with sleep is both strained and maybe toxic. I'm anxious about it. How does that happen then? Like, how does, like, even after a baby is done or the toddler's napping or whatever sleep issues we have? So, for some people, it's a very long time with certain kids.
Yeah.
Uh, and that's better. How is it still lingering, this relationship?
Yeah. A good way to kind of make a comparison is if you're in a relationship, let's say with a mate. And you never really learn how to navigate issues or problems or arguments. And so you fall into these habits that are toxic, that are not great for making progress, for communicating. And so even if the initial strain or whatever caused that to occur is over, you've fallen into these bad habits of not being able to communicate, maybe snapping at each other. And those things are going to continue even if the initial strain is over. Same thing goes for your sleep. For some women, people, we need therapy to really understand how to define that relationship with sleep. So they fall into these, I don't want to say bad habits, but these habits that are harmful to sleep as a way to just survive this stage of newborn toddlerhood or whatever. And then they never go back and fix those things.
Hmm.
And so it becomes this snowball effect, and they don't even really understand or know what it's like to have those healthy habits anymore because they've been in survival mode for so long. This is what I do to get by. And so oftentimes we have to unravel all of those things that you've gone through, that you've learned, that those mechanisms that you've fallen into just to make it through in order to reestablish a healthy relationship.
What does that look like then? What would they be looking for to understand, oh, that's a toxic habit with my sleep? I'm sure some are internal, some are external, but I just want to give them some markers to look for.
The biggest thing I see, and I would say this as a mom of a 3-month-old who is in the trenches, I started out my pregnancy and journey as a new mother with the mindset that I deserve to sleep. I think for moms, we look at our baby, our child, and they deserve sleep. And how can we take care of their needs? And we have to feed them. We have to do all those things. And you completely forget that you're still a human. Your sleep need did not dissolve because you have a baby. And that you too deserve rest and to feel taken care of and to fill your tank with sleep. That's going to look a little bit different now because we have some more challenges, but you still deserve that. So I think starting with that mind, like
Hmm.
one, you deserve sleep. You're not destined to have this life of sleeplessness just because you're a mom now. You're allowed to manage your child's needs and still prioritize your own rest. I think it's a great place to start. And then outside of that, looking at how you're managing your sleep. What is your relationship like with your sleep? Are you looking forward to going to bed at night? Are you putting it off because you have other things to do? Are you putting it off not necessarily because of other obligations, but because you feel like your only me time is at night, and so you're willing to sacrifice sleep in order to achieve that? Are you falling into habits that are not great for your sleep, like keep being on your phone at night, looking at the time, scrolling through social media, doing stimulating activities, not having a wind down routine, keeping a consistent schedule? Again, all these things that allowed you to power through initially, but you continue to do when that initial strain on your sleep is on.
I think we all know that term, revenge bedtime procrastination. And
Yeah.
and as you already mentioned, so much of how we engage with sleep is deep. It's the way we see it. And I know that we can delay sleep because we think we're getting in our me time, but really we are building up other habits that are hard and make sleep even more challenging and even make the sleep we have less restful. So I love that you started with that fix, like believing I do deserve rest and I deserve to prioritize this way of caring for myself. That's a big change.
Yes, absolutely, 100%.
Let's get into some of the ways they can work to heal their relationship with sleep, that couple that mindset shift. What else would you say?
Yeah. So setting aside a sleep opportunity
Okay.
that you prioritize and keep sacred, just like you would your kids' basketball game, baseball
Yeah.
meetings you have at work. Like there are some things that you're like, I have to do this, so it's gonna fit in my schedule regardless. Sleep should be that same non-negotiable. I say sleep opportunity because yes, if you have, especially you have small children or toddlers or whatever, that can impact how that sleep goes. But setting aside that time, prioritizing that 7, 8 hours of sleep opportunity will actually work wonders,
Okay.
especially when you're busy and have so many things going on. So people like to sacrifice sleep as the first thing on the chopping block when they're so busy, but you're actually so much more efficient and better in everything you do when you're well rested. So the way that I start my day and my scheduling all the things that I have is okay, for 9 hours, I know that this is the time that I'm going to devote to sleep. And then I'm penciling in everything else around it. Just that mental shift of prioritizing sleep first actually will work wonders. And then you can add in all the other things that help make the opportunity become realized sleep.
Okay. I know that's going to be a light bulb for a lot of women, even though they're like, It's not rocket science, but really it is. If you're not
Yeah.
prioritizing it, then you can't. Like, you just don't. It's
Yeah.
just like everything else. Okay, so starting there, and then you talked about some other ways they can really lean into that opportunity. What does that look like?
Yes. Having a consistent wind down routine is so important. Again, as moms, usually we have a bedtime routine for our baby. I started my baby's bedtime routine at like a week old.
I
Okay, we're
love
gonna
that.
come into the nursery. We have our red light. We're rubbed down. We change into pajamas. We're snuggling. Now we're reading stories. Like there are things that I do consistently at the same time every night to help train him to sleep and to help him transition from the day to the night. But a lot of times as moms, we don't give ourselves that same opportunity and understanding that it doesn't have to be this extravagant 1 hour long routine. If you have 15 minutes a
Mm,
day that you can dedicate to consistently winding down, making that your me time, that transition from all of the hustle and bustle of the day to the calm of the night, dedicate that 15 minutes to it every night. Put the baby down, do your thing, and that really helps to ease you into sleep and to help to calm all of the racing thoughts that I'm sure most moms deal with as they're trying to fall asleep. What I would also say, kind of going a step further into that, a lot of moms that I work with, one of their biggest complaints is I cannot shut my mind off at night. I just have
mhm.
all these thoughts racing through my head, so much from my child at home. A couple things I recommend for that. Number one, doing a brain dump. Having an activity where you literally just write down all the things that are coming to your mind to give your brain a way to process those thoughts so that it doesn't feel the need to do that at night. The other thing I say though is the goal shouldn't be to turn off your thoughts. That's not realistic. We're humans. We think all the time. We process things. It's just the way that we live and survive in the world. The goal should be to shift your thoughts to something that's more neutral and less stimulating. So if all the to-do lists and things are running through your mind and getting them out on paper doesn't help, listen to a sleep story, a sleep meditation. You can recite a calming mantra like relax, just give your brain something else to kind of tag on to so that it's not feeling the need to run through all of those thoughts.
Okay, I love those practical ways that they can work on that. Are there any others that you find helpful for your clients that you work with in terms of the wind down, like other options that they can consider?
Yeah, so it really depends on what is relaxing to you.
Okay.
Everyone's routine is going to be a little bit different, but what is most important is that it is devoid of things that are stimulating.
Okay.
A lot of people I work with will say, "Oh, but TV, like I need to watch my show before I go to sleep. Like that is how I relax, and that's okay." I say if you need a more stimulating activity to relax, just put that at the start of your routine. So if they have your whatever 30 minutes to an hour where you watch your show, you're sitting down, you're relaxing, but then have another 15 to 20 minutes that you're dedicating to non-stimulating
Okay.
activity.
Yeah.
Keeping the lights low, putting on some calming music. For me, it's like indulging in my skincare, listening to music. I
Mm,
do a devotional, which really puts me in a good mood, and then I'm going to sleep, whatever that is for you. A couple of things that are non-stimulating, but then also understanding that this is your time to have that me time that's not related to
mm,
revenge bedtime procrastination. So make it something that you look forward to so that you're
okay.
not doing things that are not going to be helpful to you.
So it almost should feel like a treat.
Absolutely. 100% it should feel like a treat. I look forward to my bedtime routine every
Yeah.
night. The other thing though is once you make this shift, like one of the things I look forward to is sleeping. It's the feeling that I get when I wake up in the morning and
Mhm.
I have this mental clarity and this energy and motivation. Like that is what I'm chasing as opposed to this temporary high of scrolling through social media or binge watching a show that's going to make me feel awful tomorrow. But for a lot of women, they have gone so long without having that feeling that it's difficult to chase something when you don't even remember what it feels like.
That's
So just
true.
start with that shift. And then once you feel that, it's like, oh, I need to be consistently feeling this and it's easier to change.
So I'm sure this is really subjective, but speaking to that sleep opportunity, just like you said, that it's not going to be immediate.
Mhm.
How does it still help to have the opportunity? And how long do you feel like most women have to? And I'm sure this is an average, but it takes for their body to relearn how to wind
And
down and clear out their minds and go to sleep and sleep well. Last year, I embarked on creating the largest project of my entire career as a podcaster, an exclusive online conference for moms who are ready for more. Thousands of moms enrolled to the More for Moms conference, and I had some of the best conversations I've ever recorded with 25 world class speakers, helping women access more in their happiness, habits, health, home, and hobbies. As I now prepare for round 2 of this conference for this coming fall, you now have the opportunity to access year 1's content with the special archive pass and now at a special discount. Imagine a year's worth of About Progress interviews, but all in one place, serving one clear purpose with 0 ads and a private podcast to boot. You can watch on video or read the transcripts as well if that's what you prefer. Speaker sessions range from super deep to extremely practical, with each one being tailor designed for any busy mom who has that inkling for more. You can now get 50% off a recently discounted price of 2025's archive by using the code LISTENER at checkout at aboutprogress.com/moreformoms. That new lower price breaks it all down to just 94 cents per speaker session. Again, use the code LISTENER for 50% off the archive pass of 2025's content by going to aboutprogress.com/moreformoms before this content is archived this August. How long do you feel it takes for their body to relearn how to wind down and clear out their minds and go to sleep and sleep well?
Yeah, that's a great question. And it definitely depends, unfortunately, is the answer, because it depends on how broken your relationship is with sleep, how long it's been broken, how much sleep you actually need, what's impacting it. For moms who have what are called sleep anxiety, which is this instant anxiety that's built up surrounding sleep, just preparing for sleep actually become an anxious process because I know that I'm going to struggle and I know that I'm going to feel tired tomorrow and I have to go through this song and dance. It takes longer, right? Because now we have to retrain our brains to establish a healthy relationship with sleep. Part of that, though, is going to look like reserving your bed and your sleep space for sleep only in some adult activities, right? But limiting the other things that you're doing in bed that dilutes the relationship between your bed and sleep.
Okay.
Because once you make that relationship complicated and you get into bed and your brain is like, do we work? Because this is where we normally send emails. Should I send digestive enzymes? Because this is where we eat. Should I become stimulated? Because this is where I binge watch my show. And it really dilutes that relationship. So for those individuals, it can take several weeks, 3 to 6 weeks to really start to heal that relationship. But if the anxiety is less of an issue, it's something as simple as a week of consistent bedtime winding down, going to bed at the same time, engaging in these activities can be enough to restore that relationship.
And that goes back to the original solution that you offered to us is I deserve to sleep, which means you choose to actually proactively prioritize it, which is going to require some shifts, right? And with that shift, I see 2 other obstacles, and I'm not just talking anecdotally, but also anecdotally, that come up in healing this relationship. Like I went to a legit, like I had to have adult sleep training, thanks to lots of it. And it really did change so much for me. And your tip, reserving bed for sleep and sex, like it's hard, but you do. I'm so glad you brought that up. But obstacle wise, how would you speak to the mom who struggles with now sleeping very light? And probably almost because like her brain and body were trained to wake up easily and often, but now the season is passed for that being because of other people in the family, and it's just like her. What would you suggest can help that part of the relationship?
Yeah, so that's super common, right? Like you said, we evolved to be lighter sleepers when we have babies because we need to be able to respond to their needs. But there are things that we do again that prolongs that light sleep. And a couple of very just specific technical things, caffeine, honestly. A lot of moms are surviving on caffeine throughout the day just to make it. But then it becomes this cycle because caffeine has a long half-life, meaning it takes a long time for some people up to 12 hours for half the amount they consume to be excreted from their system.
Okay.
So if you're chugging that coffee, especially in the afternoon hours, even if it doesn't stop you from falling asleep, it can cause you to remain in the lighter stages of sleep. The other thing is there are ways that we train ourselves to remain in the lighter stages of sleep. Some of that is when you wake up, let's say in the middle of the night around that 3 a.m. point and you get on your phone or you look at the time, you're training your brain to be ready to wake up at that time. Waking up should be a slow, gradual process. Our cortisol stress hormone naturally increases in the later parts of the night, early morning. But when you're basically setting an alarm clock by stimulating yourself looking at your phone and the time, it causes that shift in cortisol to be increased sooner. Speaking of cortisol, not having that wind down time. So when your
Okay.
brain is consistently active and you're stressed and anxious before you go to bed, just because you fall asleep doesn't turn that off, right? It is, you may be able to temporarily slow it down, but your brain is actually still active. And so it may stop you from getting into the deeper stages of sleep because you haven't actually dealt with the cortisol, the anxiety before falling asleep. And then lastly, your sleep environment actually significantly impacts the depth of
Okay.
sleep that you have. So if your sleep space is too warm, again,
Hmm.
you're sending signals to your body to release that cortisol early to keep you in the lighter stages of sleep. For those individuals who like sleep with the TV on or there's outside light or sounds entering your space, just evolutionarily in terms of survival, we are trained to remain in lighter stages of sleep if we notice changes in our environment. So if there's changes in sound or tone or light, our brain is saying, wait a minute, let me just make sure I can react if necessary. And so it's stopping you from getting into the deeper stages of sleep. And then lastly, very practically speaking, engaging in some sort of physical activity. It could be just walking,
Hmm.
um, exercise, strength training can also deepen your sleep. So get you into those deeper stages.
Really?
But I would focus on all of those things.
And it doesn't matter the time of day that you do the movement?
Yeah, so ideally, well, it depends on the type of movement that you're doing, I'll start with.
Okay.
Ideally, any strenuous exercise is in the early morning, early afternoon hours.
Okay.
If you do, let's say, strength training, hit exercises too late, then it causes your body temperature to go up too much, and then you're releasing these like endorphins that can make it more difficult to fall asleep. But something like yoga, light stretching is actually perfect to do right before bed.
Got it. That was so comprehensive. Thank you. You're being so generous with your knowledge. The other big obstacle that I wanted to talk about is phone use. And, you've mentioned this a few times in terms of sleep environment and also just training our brains. It's a hard one to break, I think, for a lot of people. So, how how can they heal that part of this relationship? Like it's a one-two punch almost.
Yeah, it's hard. I think first of all, breaking that codependency on the phone. I think for a lot of us, the first thing we do is wake up, we reach for the phone. We're bored, we reach for the phone. You really have to train yourself to not do that. And I know that's hard. It's easier said than done. Some of us need very more, I guess, firm help doing this. So
Yeah.
literally charging your phone out of reach, putting it somewhere that you'd have to physically get out of your bed to grab it in order to look at it. For some people, that's charging it outside of the room so
Yeah.
they literally won't get on it. Some people have the apps that kick them out of social media, so it's less enjoyable to be on your phone. You're like, oh, I actually can't physically get onto these things. And then the thing is replacing that with something else that is less
Got it.
stimulating, that more relaxing. So again, listening to a sleep meditation, sleep story, audiobook, something that is not going to be stimulating, that's going to be conducive to sleep. And then once you do that for so long, then it becomes a habit and you're less likely to do it. I would say it's been years since I've looked at my phone in the middle of the night, years. And it was
Hmm.
very difficult at first. But once I decided to do that and I realized like, yeah, it's kind of cool not knowing what time it is and not feeling this pressure of like, oh no, now I need to hurry up and fall back to sleep. It's something that I don't even want to do. Like it's not even attractive to me anymore because I understand the benefits of not.
I know a lot of people say, "Well, that's my alarm," and they don't want to
Mhm.
get one of those giant clocks on this, which can also like, I mean, those are like strobe lights often, just how bright they are. But I do have to just attest, like it really does is a game changer to at least charge it across the room if it has to be your
At least
alarm,
across.
right?
Exactly, exactly. Because I use it as my alarm as well. And the thing for me is if I wake up in the middle of the night and my alarm hasn't gone off, I know it's not time to wake up. And so
Yeah,
I'm not gonna look in my phone. Right. Like you don't if your alarm hasn't gone off, that's all you need to know that it's not time to wake up. What can be helpful too though is something like a sunrise alarm clock that
yeah,
is a little more pleasant. You can tune it to play like a very pleasant sound along with the increased brightness, which is actually a better way to wake up. But at least make it out of reach. I mean, if your alarm goes off, you got to get out of bed anyway, so you can get up and grab your phone. But it really is a game changer for a lot of people.
I would love to have a moment of hope because while this has been so revolutionary and also practical for the women who are here, it may also feel a little daunting. Like there's so much I need to change in order to make this happen. So perhaps a case study of sorts. I know you've worked with so many. I would just love to hear about someone who has healed this relationship and is in a better place.
Yeah. So first of all, I want to say take it one step at a time, just like anything,
Yeah.
right? Like you don't need to redo your entire routine and redo your entire bedroom. One small habit that you build on can make a big difference. But I'll say there's a mom that I was working with. She was a new mom, so it was her first child. And when she first came to me, it was actually during pregnancy.
Hmm.
She already wasn't sleeping well.
Mm.
And she was kind of like, I don't even she didn't believe that she could, right? Like I don't what else what could I possibly do? Because a baby's not gonna sleep, so I'm not gonna sleep. And it started with me again helping her to understand that she deserved rest. So just because her baby comes doesn't mean that that need or that desire goes away. That you still need to do that. And what we really did was focus on her baby sleep and her sleep at the same time. Usually, when we talk about fixing sleep, it's either for the baby or it's for the mom, but so
Mhm.
much of how mom sleeps is dependent on how her child sleeps. So, we started with a routine right away, helping to fix the day night confusion, setting up a solid bedtime routine for her baby and for her. I gave her quick 5-10 minute wind downs and reset routines, I call them, that she could do during the day or at night. Even if she couldn't sleep, that focus on rest really helped to again shape her mindset to say, oh, this is something that I need. This is something that's restorative. So similar, I would also say to me, I came into it with a similar mindset. And so within, I would say, what it was like 2.5 months, she was getting a solid 5, 6 hours of sleep at night, sleeping more than she was before the baby, which
Yeah.
was the interesting part. Because even though it wasn't all the way through the night, she was like, I never sleep for, this long, like 5, 6 hours straight, and then it's continued to build on itself. And so for her, as she let me know, and that's why I wanted to start with it, the biggest thing was a mindset, was understanding that it is possible, that just because she has a baby doesn't mean that now she has to throw out her need for sleep or throw out a focus on herself, that we could do it together. And then we also worked, I just want to say practically, on understanding how to handle night feedings and night waking. No matter how old your child is, if they need you at night, as a mom, you're going to have to tend to that. But what do you do during that time? Are we grabbing our phone? Are we turning on the lights?
Ooh.
Are we doing stimulating things? Or are we keeping it low, using red lights, doing non-stimulating activities so that both of you can fall back? So it's really understanding those little things. But yeah, she was sleeping much better even with a 2.5 month old, and then it only has improved.
Amazing to hear that. You're so one knowledgeable, obviously, but you are very passionate about this too. So this is maybe
Absolutely.
a personal curiosity question, but I'd just love to know, why are you so passionate about sleep
Yeah.
and helping
Yes, I'm
people
glad
heal
that
it?
you can I'm glad that you can see that. So it started with my own struggle with insomnia when I was going through my medical training. I've been through a lot, right? Like I'm a doctor, we go through rigorous training. It's been very stressful, but hands down, the worst thing I ever went through in my life was insomnia.
Yeah.
And so I started on my own quest to fix my sleep, studied sleep just literally to fix mine. And I gained so much more than just sleep. There was a piece
Hmm.
that came to me. I became better at everything else I was doing in my life. My relationship with my husband was better. How I functioned as a doctor was better. And that sparked my desire to help other people do the same because I knew so many people were struggling. And now that I'm a mom, that desire has increased even more because so many moms walk around in this state of chronic exhaustion long after the baby is sleeping through the night or older or whatever. And again, along the way, they just lose their need for sleep or understanding that they deserve it. And so I'm like, I can be a living example and also help other people to do the same. So that's what started my journey.
I'm sure, seeing so many clients and helping so many moms through this gave you almost a cheat sheet on what you wanted to do differently moving into
Yeah,
motherhood yourself. Um,
absolutely.
is there just even one thing that you're like, this is one of the things I'm like, okay, I am for sure doing this thing to ensure I'm
Yeah,
sleeping well?
yeah. It was honestly how I guess it's two parts. So
Yeah.
fixing the day night confusion from the beginning, like literally the moment he was out the womb, we started on that. But then two, how I was handling his night feedings. What I learned from working with a lot of mothers is once babies wake up at night, it's like all bets are off and they lose the focus on prioritizing their own rest and getting back to sleep as well as their child, right? And so I was like, no, we're going to be very diligent. I told my husband, like, we're militant. Do not turn on that light. It's red light only. It's
Yeah.
business. We're not talking to, we're going to handle business. Do we need to do put him back? And I think that really changed and helped him to understand what to expect when he's waking up at night. And it helps me to focus on my rest and be able to fall back to sleep. So I would say for new moms who are in this kind of newborn, just survival mode, if you do nothing else, really, really focus on how you're handling the middle of the night wakings and feedings so that both of you can get back to sleep. And then it'll also help him to start consolidating as well.
That is so helpful. And, as a mom who now doesn't have like infants, I will say what I've taken from you and the small step I want to prioritize is just making my nighttime routine a treat somehow, like
Yes,
something I really
please
look
do.
forward to, even one thing.
Keep
So I'm going to think on what that
it
is. Well, I could talk to you forever, but I'm like, I have so many more questions, but I'm just going to hold back now. And I want to talk about your freebie. So, Dr. Holliday-Bell, you have the freebie, the Sleep Savvy Mom's Guide. Can you tell us about it?
Yeah, so it's a guide and put together. I'm actually really excited about it. It's a pretty comprehensive guide. But again, what I saw lacking in the space of sleep for me was the combination of how to help baby sleep and mom sleep at the same time because they're so codependent and
Yeah.
interrelated. And so I wanted to create something that empowered mom to help not only her baby sleep, but her sleep as well. And again, really have those not only mindset shifts, but also the practical things that she can implement. And that is what the Sleep Savvy's Mom's Guide to Better Sleep is. It gives you very tangible, very practical things to implement from the day your baby is born to help them sleep better, but also things that you can do even when your baby isn't sleeping to help you get better quality sleep. So those quick resets, a sample 10-minute wind down routine, how to handle the night wakings, all the things that you need to make sure that you're also getting quality sleep. Again, I'll use myself as an example. I was like, we're gonna sleep, okay? Listen, I love my relationship with sleep. I want my baby to sleep. We're gonna do this. My baby's 3 months as of last week. He's sleeping 7 hours throughout the night. We wake up, we have one feed. He's back to sleep for 3 hours. Also understanding that every baby is different, but I was also very intentional about setting up good habits, not just for him, but also for myself. And I think one of the best things you can do for your children is to equip them with healthy sleep habits from the beginning. And so this guide was a way to help other mothers do that.
It does sound very comprehensive, but also very generous. Like that should be a course, but I'm sure like knowing you and just how good and freeing you are with your material, it's all there for people who need it. I also want to know where women should go if they want to learn more from you.
Yeah, so the best place to go is probably my website, thesolutionissleep.com, because it has all the different ways you can connect with me. Secondly, though, I would say follow me on Instagram at thesleep_MD, because I give you very actionable, bite-sized tips and information that you can take away and start to implement. I also will have access to some of my guides and things that I put together. I have one on pregnancy and sleep and the Sleep Savvy Mom's Guide as well. So that's a good place to just take those quick bites away from me. But the solution is sleep.com is a way to get the comprehensive all the ways to connect with me.
Wonderful. We'll make sure to link to those things. I want to go to the final question. And I'm so
Mhm.
curious to hear what your answer is. And it's, what is one way you are currently seeking for more out of your life?
Yeah, that's a great question. And for me, my son, my baby has brought so much joy into my life that is indescribable. I'm sure as moms, you all can relate. I didn't know that there was a love that could exist like this. And so the more that I'm seeking is just being more present with him, really enjoying each and every day, not trying to fast forward past the moment, but being present in each stage, even with the wake up and the sleepless nights. But just to piggyback on what I've already talked about, one way I'm helping myself to do that is filling my own cup, pouring into
Yeah.
myself at the same time that I'm pouring into him, because it allows me to be so much more present in these moments, able to enjoy each and every day with him. And I'm literally just trying to survive and get by. So that's how I'm seeking more. It's just an indescribable joy and this added depth to my life that he's brought. And I want to be present and intentional about every moment.
That's a big part of the mission of this conference is to help women prioritize themselves, right? So they can show up with that presence, which is just such a blessing for everybody. And I can see it in you. I mean, you just are radiating yourself, which is such a big accomplishment. And I hope you can take a minute today to just be really proud of yourself that you have prioritized that because that can often take a while for us to learn. And I think, and thanks to your work, you had a little bit of that cheat sheet and push to do it from the beginning, and you're doing it, and you're doing so well. Dr.
Thank you.
Holliday-Bell, this was just an incredible session. Thank you very much for your generosity and your expertise and your time. We are so appreciative.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. And like you said, I'm just passionate about helping other moms do and feel the same because you all deserve it.